What's going on, guys? I was talking to somebody and we were just talking about the basics of bait making, and I think I might have made a video about that in the past, but I can't remember, so I figured I'd do like a real simple breakdown of basic injection bait making. Now, this person's just wanting to make baits for themselves, so I told them, well, if you're a business, you're going to want things like a vacuum chamber and stuff. A vacuum chamber is amazing for getting out the bubbles, but I would think, anyway, two things you would absolutely want anyway would be a hot plate, which I have to turn on to heat our molds up, and a heat gun. This, if you don't have a vacuum chamber you can use to get small bubbles out of plastisol. That you guys can't even probably see that, but you know, they'll come to the surface. You hit it with the heat gun, and it helps dissipate the bubbles. That is very time consuming, but if you're making baits for yourself, it doesn't really matter unless you've got super big bubbles. It shouldn't affect the integrity of the bait. Maybe on some level, if there's a lot of bubbles, the tiny ones connecting, they're going to give you a little less durability. But like I said, if you're making baits for yourself and you're trying not to break the bank, it's not a necessity. So yeah, very, very few ingredients. You get a couple of basic colors and flakes. You can go to bait making companies, but once again, if you're just making baits for yourself and you're trying to keep it on the cheaper end, you can easily go to like Hobby Lobby or something like that and pick up flake and even mica powders and pigments to use. And then, you know, as you progress, if you decide you like it, you invest in, you know, you can invest in something like this. Me and my wife started out just making baits for ourselves. We did not start out with this. We started out, we wanted to make a 2-inch crappie slayer. You know, it was Bobby Garland. We want to make a Bobby Garland style bait in monkey milk. That was it. So we bought that mold from Epic. We bought some, you know, some black flake and some blue highlight and some plastisol, and we went to town. And then it just grew from there. But you can start off very basic, especially just making baits for yourself. Find 2 or 3, like, if you're not going to websites and buying professional materials, you can honestly, you know, you can go to Hobby Lobby and you can get a lot of stuff. As far as flake and pigments and stuff, you can get on Amazon and buy huge packs of powdered pigments for 10 or 15 bucks. So it's really easy to get started just doing stuff for yourself and really experiment. But if you're looking for certain colors, you might want to go to an actual lure company. Like I said, like monkey milk, which is a super popular color. It's just in my recipe book, and what I learned over the 6-7 years I've been doing this is it's just blue highlight and black flake. Super easy to do, and it's one of my favorite colorways. It slams anywhere. Pearl white, silver flake. A lot of really great productive colorways that you can do on the cheap. But anyway, sorry, rambled a little bit. Let's get into it. So here we've got a cup of plastisol. I put, what this is heat stabilizer. It stops your plastisol from burning, and it also stops it from discoloring, making it last a bit longer. So you've got your cup, you get your stir stick, just start stirring. I pour 6 or 7 cups at a time, so I have to reincorporate everything, because sometimes they do, I mean, they sit for a couple of days. There's probably not any separation. Another thing you really want to do when you first get your plastisol is you want to stir it up. The plasticizer and the resin will separate, and if you just pour into a cup and try to cook that, it will not go very well. So always make sure you pour. When I've got fresh 5-gallon buckets, a whole 5, I stir it with a paint stirrer for 5 minutes. But at least, you know, if you got a gallon, a good minute and a half. Same with colorants. If you do go buy colorants, Dead On Plastics puts a ball bearing in there, but the plasticizer and the pigment will separate, and it will pack in the bottom. And then if you get it, you'll still get color out. It'll be really, really diluted. So you always want to make sure these two, at least 60 seconds. I count it off in my head. Sometimes I go 120 depending on how long it's been since I've used that color. But always, always, always shake up your liquid pigments. Alright, we're going to do kind of a complex color, but we're going to keep it kind of simple with just single injection. We're not going to get dual injection, blending blocks, seed blocks, and all that. This is just a real basic, hey, you bought the Dead On starter kit. let's make some baits. But the color's going to be complex, kind of complex, because I've been wanting to make a greasy prawn-ish bait for a minute. We're going to shoot it in, okay, they're not too hard to touch, these 2.5 Epic Ned crawls. Let's build it out. It's going to be a weird kind of video for my channel. It's mostly just documentary. I'm not real into doing the how-to videos, but, you know, I don't mind. If you don't mind it being a little long. I'll try to move quick, though. You guys who have been subscribed for a while know I'd love to jabber. And I'll go off topic and rant a little bit. But anyway, so we've got our cup of plastisol. We've got our cup of plastisol. We stirred it all up. We've added our heat stabilizer. We're going to cook it for, I know my microwave. It all depends on, I mean, I guess there's a lot of things. I got 5 microwaves and they all cook differently. I started out 3.5 minutes. Cook it for 3.5 minutes and then look at it. And we'll cook this for, oh, that's not cool. I'm going to cook it for 5 because I know my microwave. And it still won't be quite done, so I'm going to show it to you and then we'll put it back in. And we'll be right back, guys. Alright guys, we're back. Something else, I didn't have my fans on. I have a vent to the outside right here and an air filter up here above me. So, this new phone is supposed to have noise canceling stuff for the background, so hopefully it does. I got these a little too hot. I got a big plate of aluminum that I use to cool stuff down. Alright, it's been about 3 minutes, and this might actually, no, it's not going to be completely cooked. Oh yeah, it says it is, but it might not be. And even this microwave, like if you've got a hot plate and your hot plate's on, it's going to change how quickly your plastisol cooks. Another thing, yeah, see we're about 320, and like if you can see it, it's like kind of goopy. Like when you get enough cups running, you can tell when it's not quite done. I always make sure it's at least, it has to be 350 degrees, but I never go, oh, I've been doing this a long time, I can just guess. I get it up in the 300 range, and then I start going in 40 seconds, 30 seconds, and then another 30 seconds, it's probably done. But yeah, what other stuff you got going on will affect how quickly your plastisol heats up. The other debate is always which one should you use. This gives a more accurate reading, but you also have to let it sit in the plastisol until it gets to temperature. I almost always use this. I have that. I have used it. I don't like it. What I do is I keep the glove on because nothing hurts worse than 350 degree plastisol rolling over your thumbnail. And I swirl it, and you get a good reading from down in the middle. It's swirling it around, and you're getting to see what's going on. You can stir it with a stick, but if you hit the stick, you're going to get a weird reading, and it's also going to be a little cooler around the stick where it's absorbing the coldness, or where it's colder than the plastisol. So I like to just swirl it. We're hitting 53, well, 47 to 53, so I'm going to give it another 30 seconds just to be sure. And then we will build our color. Usually I cut all the heating stuff out of the video, but it won't even go a full 30, I'll give it like 20 seconds. But since the video on basics, then I wanted to leave it in. I've got all my colors set up right here. Like I said, we're going to do a greasy prawn-ish color. I'm going to use some different stuff. Instead of a copper, I've got hollow microflake. Instead of small gold, I'm going to use Dead on Plastics Midas. Oops, I forgot to stop it. Gave it that full 30. It's definitely cooked. Yeah, 360. We're a little over. That's all right. You don't want to go much above 370. Dead on Plastics is what I have experience with, and I know that I've hit it like 420 and it not burned out. It does not smell the best, which I've also noticed after a couple of weeks that smell goes away. If you make baits and you fish them, that smell is going to be inconsequential and minimal discoloration. All right, so this recipe, first thing I'm going to do is put a couple of drops of this amber in there. Piece of plastisol. I'm going to go with 2 to start. glasses on. Oh, you know what? I bet you I haven't even. Yeah. Topper's stuck. We toss this out. Alright, so we're gonna start with 2. You want it to be translucent. I'm gonna go 4. Oh yeah. Pretty much it's called greasy prawn, so you're trying to get that greasy, dirty color. I've got a little like thrown together recipe over here that I'm reading. It says a little bit of black smoke. I don't have black smoke, so we're gonna do a smear. I'm gonna do a whole. Just gonna smear a little bit on there. That's probably too much, but I told it so it should be. Yeah. Oh yeah, that looks pretty dirty. Glad I pulled that out and didn't let the rest of that. It ended up being more than just a couple of drops. More than just a smear. It ended up being a couple of drops. Alright, saying an 8. You might go a little more, but it's supposed to be really translucent. You don't want translucent. Instead of being gold, it's gold hollow. So it's got like all those other little colors that are ripping around in there. 8 to that. 1/16 a small black, so very half of one of these. Small black. I won't even tip the cup in. I'll leave it real light. And then just a tiny bit of this, like a 30-second. So like I don't have stuff that small. The 8th is the smallest, so we just measure. Like I want to make sure I don't have any of the black or other stuff to get in there. Probably doing all that off camera, having like just a soup song of the copper. Grease it up. Then we will stir. Found a pack of plastics that was called greasy prawn. I won't say the brand name because A, I don't like them. B, I want the video to not get flagged. You never know what's gonna flag nowadays. So that's pretty cool looking, man. I don't know if you guys can see it. A lot of that copper stuck to the. Maybe I'll give these away once we get them done. Wouldn't it be cool? Give them away on the our Instagram. Do a I don't know. Find a way to give them away. All right, now I'm going to pause this because we're going to put it in the degasser or the vacuum chamber. We're going to degas it in the vacuum chamber. It's over here in its own little container that has an exhaust fan that vents into the ceiling. So we will. I'll be back when that degasses. It takes a couple of minutes to do, so see you guys in a second. Alright, we're back, and that's degas. We gave it 30 seconds to drop down to about 300 degrees. I'm going to get it into a range of about 320 to 330. Right about there right now. I waited to do this to show you guys what I do. I have, like I said, this is the 2.5 inch net crawl. These 4 clamps. I offset them for balance because all 4 face one way or two. It could tip the mold or want to tip the mold, depending on mold size and design. Everything's kind of different. All right, we'll clamp those down. It's single color, so I don't have to worry what's front and what's back. If you're doing a laminate, you would want to make sure that your top color is on the top, so forth. Make sure your injector is empty. Fill your injector. Always keep it pointed away from your face when it's full because this stuff is 320 degrees. I like to purge the injector. It stops air from going in. Just push up gently until plastisol comes out and you're ready to break one of your cups. See, even that's a little wobbly. Probably something underneath there. Hold tight, push down, and then just gentle pressure until you feel resistance, and hold gentle pressure. Give it a 10 or a 12 count. You want to scoop off and top off your runner. It'll drink as it pushes out air and fills in the mold. So you want to keep a constant eye on that runner and make sure that it stays topped off, or you could suck in air and end up with dents. And I like to set it as close to the plastisol as I can and slowly push what's left in the injector back out. You do it slowly, it doesn't create a whole lot of bubbles. You will have a few, as you can maybe see right there, but probably not. And I just heat gun, pops those, and reincorporates it back in, and we're good to go. So I'll keep an eye on these. I'll let it sit for a second. I can see the light like coming in as it drinks it down a little bit. I'll just top it off. The good thing about single colors is all this can be reused. You can just pull it off. When your bait's cool, you pull them off the runner goes back in the plastisol. Laminates, you lose that runner because the colors are mixed. You lose anything you top off with because it's going to mix together. So that is the good thing about single colored baits. Alrighty, we're going to let these cool for a bit, and we will come back and open the mold up, guys. Alright guys, we are back and we're going to check it out. One thing I did forget to mention, when cooking your plastisol, I said it has to get to 350 degrees to change. But you only have to hit 350 degrees one time. After that, you want to try to stay lower than like 330, 340. The highest, I think. I try to stay between 320 and 330. You will find if you get into this that like certain molds have to be shot a little hotter, a little colder, a little slower, a little faster. There's a lot. They're almost all like their own individual animal. But this is a basic, so for basic purposes, that's a little, because some people might not know that, and then they're like blasting up to 350 every time they do a shoot. Your plastisol is going to discolor and cook up a lot faster. These are still a little warm, but it's all right. We're going to go ahead and check out this. I was shooting these blood red and white swirls, so there's a little bit of red flake in there, but these are actually they turned out pretty good. They'll be, oh, you know what helps, Daryl? When you turn on the light on your tripod. Bam. There'll be some photos afterwards, but I'm pretty stoked on that. We're going to go ahead and run the rest of the cup and then photos to follow. I hope this was helpful to a couple of people. I know there's a lot of great people, a lot of great videos on the internet from bait makers who are a lot more like content creators. They're used to doing informational or teaching videos and stuff. And as I said, mine's really just a like a documentary channel. But I was talking to somebody, I was like, you know what, man, I'll go ahead and I'll do a little beginner's video and post it to the YouTube so you can have a little something to check out to help you along the way. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you learned a little something from it. And be safe, tight lines. We'll see you on the next video.